Hey everybody, this is Tyler Olson. Welcome to this episode of A Good Problem to Have. Today we're going to be talking about part 5 of our 8-part series for new interns going into residency. We've been talking about federal student loans, private loans, insurance decisions, employer benefits so far. Today we're going to be talking about cash flow. Cash flow is money in and money out of your life, and why it's so important to get that under control and understood. Whether or not this is your first job, or if you've had other jobs, you need to embrace the fact that there's likely going to be a whole new set of decisions and conditions. You're likely moving to a place that you've never been before. Obviously, some of you may have be going somewhere that you're familiar with, which would be really cool if that's what you wanted. But for most interns, everything is new. Cost of living is new. Transportation dynamics are new. Where you're going to live relative to where work is, so to speak. And, just like your schedule and what that means in terms of cost of living. Because, you're going to be so busy once you actually get going. The things like food preparation and how to unwind when you do finish work. Those all entail food and money decisions. And without any sort of controls in place or a place to be able to take note of what's happening with my cash, it's very easy for anybody to start accruing credit card debt, or in some cases you may not accrue credit card debt, but you're not saving anything. And mind you, I am not of the disposition at all that investing substantially, paying debt down a lot while in training is important, let alone realistic. But maybe there's something that you can do. But the most important reason to give attention to this and to try to save, to potentially try to invest some, try to pay down private debt or credit card debt if you got it, is to build good habits. So that will lead to renewed good habits once you're out of training and your income is much higher. The impact of the habits at that point will be even more significant. So it's really beneficial to learn these habits and get used to them. So what do I mean? You got to make a budget of your income and expenses. You can do this pen and paper. You can do this with an Excel spreadsheet. You can use a budgeting app like Monarch Money. That's my personal favorite. Whichever way is going to help you to organize your data, and that is in a place that will be, it will be natural for you to go to it, and your brain can absorb it. I say that because for me personally, in my own personal life, even though I like Monarch Money as a tool, when it comes to my own family dynamic, communication style, and what works for us, pen and paper actually works better for us because our brains just don't absorb digital media the way that writing things out does. So that's what we do. And you got to do what's best for you. Whatever method is, you want to know what's my income, what are my expenses. First, let's address income. Say you're making $60,000. What you should not do is take $60,000 and divide that by 12 and say, my budget is going to be $5,000 a month. Because not only do we not want to aim to spend all of our income, but also you're not getting $5,000 a month. That is your pre-tax salary. So if you're making $60,000, in all likelihood, you're looking at closer to like $48,000 a year, which is like $4,000 a month after taxes. Now it may ebb and flow a bit. Like if you're in a state like Florida or Texas and there's no state income tax, maybe you keep more of your income. Or if you're in a state like California or New York, your state income tax rate is higher than average, then you might be getting less. Also coming out of there is going to be your health insurance premiums, like we discussed last time, some of your benefits they will get paid for automatically through payroll before you get your paycheck, your net income. So the amount that you actually get in your checking account is not going to be your total salary divided by 12 or divided by 26 weeks, however often you're getting paid. So, so what you need to do is ascertain what is my net income going to be, and you can make some estimates. What I just did right off the bat, in as I was speaking right now, is I just lopped off 20%. And it may be higher, maybe lower. If you're married, for example, that's another factor to consider. If your spouse earns an income, that's going to change the tax rate that's charged. If you have kids, there's there's tax credits that get involved there when you input those numbers into your W-4. That's a form provided by the IRS that's used by every employer in the U.S. to be able to sort out what your tax rate is going to be relatively based on whether you're single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, if you have a spouse, what their income is, if anything, if you have dependents, aka children. So that all gets factored in. You don't need to get into the minutia of this, but just draw a conservative estimate or cautious estimate of what your net income is going to be. You could decide, you know what, I just want to, as I plot out my budget, I'm not going to assume 20%. I am going to assume 25% is going toward taxes and such. And that means that my monthly budget, my monthly income is going to be $3,750 on a $60,000 gross salary. Whatever you feel like is most appropriate for you, given your state, and whatever health insurance premiums are going to be coming out. Also, your 403b plan contributions, if you decide to opt in. By the way, I forgot to mention this last week, that the detail about employer benefits. Check and see if your employer offers a matching contribution to the 403b retirement plan. If it does, like say it's like 3%, you should absolutely put at least 3% into the plan. That way you get 3% also added to your retirement account by your employer. It's like a little bonus that you only get if you put in the matched the required amount. However, that 3% is also going to get taken off of your gross paycheck. So all that needs to get factored in to figure out what's going to land in my checking account, because therein begins the cash flow game. Money in, what is it going to be? Once you figure out what that is and the cadence that you're getting paid, whether it's monthly or every 2 weeks, that helps you to begin to see money in on what interval. And now on the other side is expenses. A spreadsheet is a great place to start with these things. Identifying your rent or your mortgage if you bought a home, renter's insurance, car insurance, utilities, and so gas, electric, water if you're paying for that, like in a rental, or obviously if you own a home, you're paying for water for sure. Other things like phone bill, subscriptions, cable, different media and entertainment subscriptions that you pay for. Those are all going to be fixed, and those are good places to start because they are known and they are consistent. Write all those out. Total what that is. Whatever is left, let's say that you assume that your net income per month is going to be $3,750. And let's say that your fixed expenses are $2,500 per month. That leaves you with $1,250 that's going to go toward variable costs, or costs that you don't know yet. Examples of costs that you might not know yet will be your student loan payment. Go back to episode 1 of this mini-series, which would have been 4 weeks ago, and we talked about the importance of filing a tax return electronically. And when this episode goes live, it's going to be going into the second week of April, but still not quite yet April 15th. So if you have not e-filed your tax return yet, you should do so. Do not paper file, e-file, electronic file. Use Free Tax USA or TurboTax as a backup. even if you made no money last year. The reason I'm reiterating this is because that leads to a $0 payment on your student loans, your federal student loans. And, and of course, if you don't do that, your payment initially could be $300 to $400 per month. And then that needs to get factored into your budget because that's going to be coming. Now, if you did a consolidation, if you end up doing a federal loan consolidation in late May, once you're graduated from med school, and then you apply for a federal loan consolidation and apply for an income-driven repayment plan within that application, then your payments are going to start probably in July or August. But if you're doing that because you made no money last year, then your payment is going to be $0 and would have no impact, at least this year, on your budget. That may change next year. It may stay at $0 if you file a tax return extension next year. I'm really getting into the weeds here, but stick with me. If you file a tax return extension for your 2026 tax return next spring, because you would have made $30,000, half a year's salary, but by filing an extension, when you recertify your income for your federal student loans next summer, it'll still pull from your 2025 tax return, which is presumably $0, which would give you another 12 months of $0 payments. This is assuming that you're in a household where you're the sole earner and there's no other income. So obviously those would be mitigating factors. Conversely, if you don't do the consolidation, for whatever reason, you're not going to go that route and you're just going to start making payments, even on an income-driven repayment plan, after the 6-month grace period come mid-November of this year, then that $300 or $400 per month needs to get factored into this spreadsheet. Unknown costs that are not yet known, you got to put in some estimates or figure out, if there's a way to figure out for sure what they're going to be, all the better. Other things, variable expenses, groceries, fuel, going out to eat, what you're going to do with your time when you have those rare days off, those rare golden weekends. I'm a big proponent of spending some money while you're in training. Not a lot, but something modest and intentional. Because it's not about it's not about getting wealthy now. Right now, it's about maintaining balance, making sure that your health is good to the best of your ability, that you're able to focus on your training, your health, and your relationships. So when you do get some time off, if you build a budget where you plan to spend some money for those days off, then you've got it there. And it's okay if it's not going toward debt or into your Roth IRA. You can and should take care of yourself and enjoy some things. Your life is substantially about medicine right now, and it's going to be for a while. But you need a reprieve. You need to be able to give yourself a break and enjoy other things. And a lot of times that does involve spending some money. So just make a plan. Build it into your cash flow plan. Also, once you lay this all out and you look at your income, you figure that out, you figure out your fixed expenses, your yet to be known expenses like student loans, and your variable expenses like going out to eat, groceries, etc. Then you kind of have a layout of money in, money out. Hopefully there's something left over. If there's like a couple $100 per month, that's great. We're going to talk about what we're going to do with that next week. But the idea is that you know where your cash is coming from, how much it is, and where it's going. It's like a snapshot. But then it needs monitoring. Not all the time, but maybe once a month or maybe every few months, evaluate your spending. Maybe initially you're looking at this budget that you've made, and your spending is really, really close to your total income, or maybe it's more than your income. You may need to look at making adjustments, and that's okay. That's okay. You do what you can. Maybe you're in a place where you're not able to save a whole lot, if anything. And if it's not realistic to save very much, then that may just be your reality. But the point is to look at your particular circumstances and do the best that you can with them. Evaluating these things periodically helps to make sure that you're money that you've dedicated toward groceries is sufficient, and that you're not going overboard and you're not spending anything, right? Money toward days off, money toward going out to grab a bite to eat with friends after a shift. These are really, really important things to keep in mind. And that way, when you do have the opportunity to do something, because you know your cash flow, you're like, hey, you know what? I know that I can do this. I know what the impact is going to be, and it's worth it to me. Now, if you're in the position where you've done all this and your net income and your expenses result in a savings, then it's time to look into things like building up cash and investing. And we're going to be talking about each of those in the next 2 successive weeks. So this is part 5 of 8, a series of how to build a financial plan for you new interns. Thanks for joining. We'll talk next week.